Well, for more on this, we're joined by engineer Behzad Fatahi from the University of Technology in Sydney, and he's warning that a series of overdue high-magnitude earthquakes could strike at any moment along some of the Earth's major fault lines. Behzad, good morning. What's prompted you to issue this warning?
Actually, you know that the planet Earth is formed of several tectonic plates, and these tectonic plates basically they move kind of over time. And after some time, some of these fault lines they will be locked. So we start to monitor them further, and then they start to also absorb some energy due to that locking. So we have looked at several of these fault lines, and basically scientists they investigate them, and they see that basically the time that has passed, that those fault lines they be activated and released energy has passed, and we have got several of them. They are not really new, so they have been absorbing energy over last 100, 200, 500 years, and we are just waiting for them to release this energy, but we don't know when, but it can be today or in 100 years.
And where are these quakes likely to strike? What areas are we talking about?
So these ones are between the tectonic plates on the planet Earth. For example, you may have them close to the west coast of United States, where you have got San Andreas Fault, which is one of the big ones. You may have between the Eurasian plate and American plate, or Pacific plate around there, which is around Japan. So it's widespread around the world. It might be under Italy, United States, Japan, India.
Okay,
Yes.
and what's the threat to Australia? I mean, here we've had the Newcastle earthquake in 1989, and 13 people were killed in that. Over 100 people were injured. How big was that quake compared to, I think it was 5.6 on the Richter scale. Is that a big earthquake compared to some of these others that you're talking about?
Yes, that was just 5.6 in terms of the magnitude, and that is not considered as a very large earthquake, but for Australia that was the biggest earthquake that happened, that unfortunately yes, 13 people died. And basically Australia is located in the middle of relatively a stable tectonic plate. However, we have got still a lot of fault lines there that they may be activated, but we do not expect very large earthquakes in Australia. However, in the neighboring countries, as you can see, northern part of the Australian tectonic plate close to Indonesia or New Zealand, we have very active plates and large earthquake may happen. But in Australia, the most of the earthquakes, they may happen in the Western Australia or Central Australia, southern part of Victoria toward, Tasmania. Those areas, they have got very high risk. However, these fault lines, they may be activated anywhere in Australia, but they won't be very big fault lines like what you may find in Japan or in California.
Okay. And what can we do to prepare for this? The way we build our cities, our houses, any particular buildings more susceptible to damage during quakes?
Absolutely. There is a saying that, we say that basically earthquakes, they don't kill people. That's structures, infrastructure that they kill people. Basically, we have to make sure the local standard, they are up to date. They capture the most recent findings that engineers and scientists basically they find. And the most important part that I think we have to consider is that the buildings that they were constructed long time ago, it might be as long as, let's say, 100 years or 15, 20 years, they have to be retrofitted. They have to be assessed based on the latest standards, and if it's required, they have to be retrofitted. And obviously there is no way that recently we construct the buildings using stone and mud and those sort of things, but in the recent earthquake that happened in Italy, that we are all upset about it, many buildings, they were constructed from stones and rocks and those sort of things. And basically the authorities, they have to go and check those villages, might be in the mountainous areas, in those complex terrain, and basically spend part of this money before that they are going to spend for the reconstruction, well before the earthquake, and try to assess the buildings, retrofit them. There are new methods, for example, at UTS in the Faculty of Engineering IT, we have been working on to look at the modern design or more efficient design of the foundations. That may not be very expensive, even may reduce the cost of construction, but it's more efficient design of foundations. Same for structures.
Behzad Fatahi, thank you.
Pleasure.